Hi, John. Good afternoon. Thanks for your time. I do really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Hello, Badia. Thank you for having me on.
Many, many thanks for your time. And we're going to start. I'm not going to take up much of... hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sure. John, atheism in general is growing, for instance, in the UK. Is it growing globally?
Globally, yes. Particularly in some parts of the world. In the USA, for example. Even in Pakistan and Indonesia, so I'm informed. But of course, there are some hardcore areas, although recent news from Iran suggests that the younger generation are moving away from their religion.
What do you think what would be the reason in regions like in Western Asia, or particularly in Iran, why youngsters are willing to be a religion or to be atheist?
Well, it's education and the internet, largely, I think.
You know, in Iran is one of few countries that, being atheist, you could be punished at the severest of you can imagine. But at the same time, we're witnessing a rising number of atheists in Iran. Do you think that, would they will be able to change the course of, this mistrust that, would they be able to change, I don't know how to put it in words. Shall I'm sorry, I'm receiving many calls now. I'm going to switch it off. I'm sorry about that,
Okay.
John.
Okay, do you want me to speak to your question? I think I got the gist of what you meant.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, please do. Thank you. Sorry about that.
I don't have a crystal ball, is the answer, but I can hope that the trend we're seeing at the moment will continue. I mean, take, for example, northern Nigeria, where today, this very day, our lawyers, Atheist Alliance International lawyers, have managed to get released Umar Farouk, a 13-year-old boy who has been held in prison for 10 months and was sentenced to 10 years imprisonment with menial labour for blasphemy. Now that's a success. And the very fact that we've had that success means that the whole idea of Sharia courts, which is against the constitution of Nigeria, can now be challenged.
Studies suggest that atheism might be on the rise, but let's say in 2050, there won't be any significant rise in terms of percentage of world population. How do you see the future for atheism?
Well, for a start, I'd like to question the concept of atheism. It's not an ideology. It's theism. It's just not believing the claims of the people who tell you that they have a God and that he is in control and that we should worship him. That's the difference. So there is no ideology of atheism. But what there is increasing awareness of critical thinking, how to examine claims critically and seek evidence. And the way the world is going is definitely on that trend.
As you said, atheism is not an ideology, and atheists are as diverse as believers. How do you define an atheist? What all of atheists have in common?
Disbelief in a god or gods. That's the only thing that non-believers have in common. Apart from that, they can be capitalists, socialists, communists, libertarians. They can be anything. And they can have any manner of other beliefs. There's only one common thread to not believing, and it is a lack of belief. A lack, that's all.
It's lack of belief, as you said, but is there anything that, is there anything that atheists find meanings in life in? It might be diverse, but, do atheists find meaning in life at all?
Well, this is a common theistic misconception that there should be a meaning to life, as, dropped on us from above. But in fact, we make our own meaning to our lives. And some of us have missions to teach science or teach a foreign language or build a house or whatever. Those are our purposes. That's where we get our meaning.
There are some studies suggest that people feel less warmly towards atheists like me, like you, than they do toward members of the most major religious groups. Is it really necessary to believe in God to be moral?
No. In fact, since there's no evidence for any God, there is no prospect of that agent delivering morality. In fact, I've done some videos on this, which I could link to your audience.
I'm happy to use your videos if you let us to do that. I'm going to use them and if
Sure.
we get the permission, we're going to do that.
Sure.
So in terms of morality, can you define atheists as people of moral, believe in morality? Because this is the question that came across. Non-believers, believers would
Yes.
ask, and they do question morality of non-believers.
Yes. A lot of nasty propaganda has been put out about atheists, and claims have been made that atheists are not moral, and up to the extent of that they eat babies. This is ridiculous. The fact is that what we call morality, and it's not the best word to use to describe the situation, has evolved largely. We have developed adaptations that make us as social animals successful. And as I said, I've got some videos on this which I'd like to share with you.
Atheists and humanists facing discrimination across the world are, as you said, stigma attached to in some certain communities.
Yes.
And reports, studies would even suggest the idea that the discrimination is there.
Yes.
How that can be tackled in societies like Iran?
Very difficult. In that sort of society, the propaganda has been spread for decades, and atheists are a persecuted minority. And I don't see that changing in the short term. But we are working at it. Atheist Alliance International has a Right to be Secular campaign, which we're taking to the United Nations, where we have a presence at the committee. And our purpose is to try to get the same rights for non-believers that currently exist for those members of a faith.
Again, I'm going to repeat myself, but in Iran, atheists might face the most severe punishments, and even setting up a Facebook page might leads them to end up in longest prisons that you can imagine. So how they could inform the other parts of society with knowing that there is such a massive restrictions among the activities against the activities?
Well, of course, this is censorship, isn't it? And we shouldn't put up with it. We meet it in other countries as well. For example, in Indonesia, a colleague of mine who is currently studying in Taiwan won't appear on screen other than in the form of a silhouette, because he fears for his life if he goes home to where the Muslims are dominant. This is what we've got to campaign against. And that's why Atheist Alliance International has the right to be secular, which we are presenting to the UN.
I'm not sure if you came across with the study published by Gammon. They surveyed thousands of Iranians online to get an accurate percentage of beliefs in Iran, and it showed that about 8% of them are atheist, about 8% are agnostic, and when you add up non-believers, it is equal as somehow as Muslim Shias. Does it surprise you to see such a? I mean, because and it is. It is across the nation. It's not just like urban dwellers. Does it surprise you to see such a number?
Not really, because of course in the past Iran was known as Persia, and was quite, I don't like this term, westernized back then, and it was only when the mullahs gained control that Islam was enforced as a theocratic regime. So I'm not surprised that there are still people alive, or even younger people who have maybe traveled or met online, different circumstances, who realize that there is an alternative to being dominated by mullahs. I'm pleased to hear. Sorry? I was going to say I'm pleased to hear that the numbers are that large. They're brave, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely brave. But is it atheism? Do you think that is it a westernized notion, or is it a universal theme? And is it?
That's a good question. In fact, I think we're all born atheists. Wherever we are born, it's not Western, it's not Eastern, it's a fact of birth. When we are first born, we can't use our eyes properly. Our brain hasn't learnt how to process the data coming from the backs of our eyes. So at that stage of life, we cannot possibly have adopted an ideology. So we are all born atheists. It's a natural condition.
To interrupt you, I'm going to ask you this: how outside world like organization like you could support Iranians who, struggle with the restrictions. At the same time, they are keen to get to know the alternatives, and especially youngsters are, it's a young, vibrant society, and it shows that alternative thoughts has got its appeal among them. How organization like yours could support them?
Well, the same way that we support similar organizations elsewhere in the world. We have affiliates on all continents, and what we do is we help them to form groups and to grow and to hold events and such like. And I recognize this is difficult in a oppressive country like Iran, and that it might initially have to be done in secret, but they can apply to us and we can do what we can to help them.
Many thanks for your time. I really enjoyed talking to you, and thanks for the interview, and hopefully I'll bother you again, and we'll exchange emails, and I'll send you the interview and the reports that I'm going to do. And I'm going to ask you to please send us, whatever links that we'd be able to use. I appreciate that. And I'm going to start to do, a series of, stories on atheism, and I might bother you again with another interview. It would be really great to have you again.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on, and you're welcome. I will be pleased to come on your show anytime I can.
Thanks. Many, many thanks. Cheers.
Thank you.
You enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.